This week, a YouGov poll found that we Remainers are more intolerant of Brexiters than the other way around. And I don't just mean not letting up on the fact that Brexiters are wrong, which, of course, they are. Rather, more than a third of Remainers would be upset if a close relative married a strong Leave supporter. And almost two-thirds say that all or most of their friends share their stance on Brexit. This is otherwise known as an echo chamber. By contrast, Leavers are comparatively more likely to say that they have Remain-supporting friends and are also significantly less likely to be concerned by an EU supporter in their family. These results are bitter pills to swallow, but swallow them we must. Brexit is dividing families, friends and political parties. We'll come to you, Alpha. But perhaps some of this division could be avoided if we Remainers, who see ourselves as more open-minded, were to practice what we preach. This doesn't mean compromising our deeply held beliefs. It does mean, though, being more empathetic towards others who don't share them.
There's a schism. There's a split, there's a divide, and that's why...
That's a mild understatement.
Yes, indeed. That's why I was greatly heartened, because I was in Phil's dressing room just before the show began, and I picked up his favourite magazine, The Tatler, because, you know, he's never without The Tatler. And I quote from an article in 2017, now, there's nothing more important on the dating scene than how someone voted in the EU referendum. Yes, dating. A new app called Hater allows people to match up according to what they can't stand. Greg and Carol come to mind. Its data shows that a staggering 88% of users matched up according to their mutual loathing for Leave or for Remain. Single people need this kind of technology because it's a biological fact that you cannot tell whether someone is a Remainer or a Leaver by looking at them, or even by having sex with them. Sorry about that. They smell the same, feel the same. It's just their brains that are different. The rules for dating in a post-Brexit universe, courtesy of Tatler. So, we've moved on a little bit. We now look at, thanks to research from YouGov, top brands for Leave voters. And among the top 10, let's take a look at the logos. HP Sauce, Bisto, Iceland, PG Tips and Richmond Sausages. And there are 10 top brands. Of course there are for Remain voters. Here they come. Among that 10, Instagram, the London Underground, Airbnb, Twitter and EasyJet.
It's EasyJet that I don't get there.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to back that up completely, because on the brand thing, I was outside the corner shop the other day and this little kid came up to me and he said, "Can you get me 10 Richmond, sir?" And I bought him some sausages.
You've got to have a bite of that, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I'm hanging out. You've got to get
If Phil gets a bacon butty and HP sauce, where's my EasyJet flight and Airbnb, please?
It's the only one I don't get among that. Look, can I ask you all a question, right? So, we've got Leaver and reluctant Leaver and Remainers, right? So, would you accept a Leaver in your family?
Of course.
A loved one?
Of course.
Would you marry a Leaver?
I would constantly challenge them and give them a massive headache, but I wouldn't kick them out of my family.
Probably the best romantic relationship in my life I'm involved in at the moment, and she's a Leaver.
No, but you're a Leaver.
Unless she's a Remainer. She's not to know that.
That's it. The relationship's over now, Nick.
That's the way she found out, watching the play. Sorry, love. It's been great. See you later.
Carol.
I would have no problems at all, but like Afua, I would try and convert them. I would make them convert. I would make them see sense.
Bake them.
I wouldn't even try to convince her, otherwise my missus, she'd just make me leave.
So the preachy element of it.
So basically your
off.
thesis is complete nonsense.
No, because it's a poll. It's a YouGov poll.
I think it gives Carol great support, because if you're right, I'll throw you that means actually, and you'd have thought that it would be the Leavers or the reluctant who would be, but in fact it's you bloke, Carol.
The thing about hang on, you're not called Carol. The thing about Remainers is that they believe they occupy the intellectual high ground.
They do believe their own...
Which is that
nonsense.
But also you believe you occupy the moral high ground, which in your heads justifies the stuff that you say. It's supposed to be Leavers who are the bigots.
I'm supposed to be
I've never known bigger
I'm
bigots.
Now,
I just want to tell you a very quick story. I was at a dinner party when the Leave campaign was going on, and the Remain campaign, during the referendum, and a friend of mine had 10 people around for dinner, and he had a placard. He's a very smart guy. Placard, and he's gone, "Leave, vote Leave." So this guy comes to the door, knocks on the door and said, he was coming for dinner, he was a guest, and he actually said, is that yours? And my friend said, well, of course. Oh, he said, I can't come in, I can't drink with you, I can't eat with you. No, hang on. And then the next morning, so my friend let him go. The next morning he got up, the poll had been ripped out of the ground. That's Remainers for you. They had a visceral hatred.
Can I just highlight the irony. Is this supposed to be an example of how tolerant Brexiteers
That's a bit of a
are?
generalisation.
It's how tolerant we are.
The problem with them,
normal.
Remainers, is they think they occupy the moral
do.
high ground.
Look, let's have a
They
look at what
really
Jacob
believe
had to say.
that.
Right, my old mate Jacob, he had a few words to say on this, and he does feel the same as me, because I always feel that you're beating me with a stick. You're stupid, Phil. You don't know what you're doing. Scaring me and all the rest of your stuff, right? Because you really do. Honest.
You scare
All
easily, Phil.
Okay, let's see what old Jacob's got. Come on, Jacob, get up, son. Where is he?
That's one of the problems with the Remainers. They've always thought that anybody who doesn't agree with them is stupid, and they thought the 17.4 million people who voted to leave the European Union are stupid. It's a desperately condescending and arrogant approach.
Exactly.
There you go. He feels exactly the same as I do. Every
voice
time I say to a
of-
Remainer, my point of view, they go, "You don't know nothing, Phil." You know, and you just get
I
felt.
do think, I do think we're right. I don't think we have the moral high ground because we lost the vote, but I do think we're right. Afua hasn't
The
come in yet.
idea that
Yeah,
Jacob
yeah.
Rees-Mogg is the voice of the masses against these uppity
Yeah.
Well, he's the
Remainers.
voice of
It's
Leavers.
completely
It's comedy.
ridiculous.
It's the voice of
Listen,
reason.
I'll tell you why I don't accept what you're saying, Maajid.
It's not what I'm saying, it's a poll.
First of all, I will agree with the premise that I think, and it's been said more frequently recently, that I think we need to learn how to disagree well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do think that we need to try and build bridges between,
I
like,
think
over this
Remainers-
ideological divide. I don't think it's helpful to create this huge cultural schism between people on the Leave side and the Remain side. And I also don't accept the premise that we're like different species, you know, that Brexiteers are these kind of crazy nut jobs, or that
hang on.
Remainers
Thick
are these
racists,
liberal,
that's what we're called, thick
moral
racists.
Well, that's what I was
superiors.
arguing against.
I don't accept. I mean, most people who voted Leave are reasonable people who made a decision. I don't agree with the decision. There are a few extremists, and just like there are a few
But it's the
extremists
people
on
that are
the Remain
dragging
side.
their
Do you
feet
not
within the powers that be that are now
But
slowing all this stuff down.
Can I explain why I don't agree with what Maajid's saying? The difference between the Leave and the Remain side is that the Remain side voted to preserve the status quo. So, and the Leave side voted for something radically different. So what you're saying is all about, and I've read the studies about how people who voted Remain are more likely to lose sleep, they get anxiety about it, they feel extremely strongly about it. Leavers are more relaxed, they're more willing to be friends with people from the other side. That's the study you're talking about. Right, the reason for that is that people who voted Remain are really worried that this could have massive changes. It could rip families apart. People from EU countries are worried about having to leave the
here you
country.
go.
Anxiety is-
No, just let me finish.
Leavers are
Let me
stupid.
finish. Remainers are worried that there are going to be problems travelling, that British people in European countries might be stranded. There are a lot of changes that make Remainers anxious. Leavers voted for a radical change that they believe in, so of course they
Carol,
feel
I know
worried.
Carol,
Like
I don't-
spoiled kids who haven't got their own way and are just dragging
Another
their feet at any
example of Leaver
opportunity,
tolerance.
just any opportunity to stick a spanner in the work so that this thing don't happen. It's going to happen. We voted for it to happen. Leave means leave.
Right,
What has-
Exhibit
what has
A,
become
Exhibit
clear
B. Leavers are the intolerant ones.
Remainers' hatred of the biggest ever democratic vote spills easily over into a visceral hatred of Leavers, and we see examples of it every day.
I'm like Cameron here. I shouldn't have even called this debate in the first place. I shouldn't have even held
Does
the
anybody have
referendum.
any cannabis?
Can I, as a spin on what I think perhaps as an interpretation of what you've just said, I think I'm not convinced that's the reason. And the reason is if anxiety is causing the Remainer intolerance, then I would suggest at this late stage, Brexiters also face anxiety because they're not sure they're going to get Brexit.
Yeah, and I think some of them are changing their minds.
I don't know if
they're
that's
not.
We should have a second
And,
I don't know if that
Remainers
explains-
keep
It's
doing
anxiety,
that
it
as
means I'm
well.
fed up
They
with it. I
keep
must be
on
full of it.
saying the Leavers are changing their mind. They are not changing their mind at all. You'd like them to, but they're not.
would
So
you like to
9% of
revise your
Leavers,
premise here,
9% of
Maajid?
Leavers did say that they were expressed
Right.
intolerance in that survey. And Karen, you may be among the 9%.
I have an intolerance to anything that isn't Richmond, all right?
Remainers bigoted.
I have an intolerance to anything that isn't Richmond, okay? So that's a great plug for them. I expect free sausages for the rest of my life.